Earlier this year, OTV celebrated its first anniversary on Egypt's airwaves, and to mark the occasion, the channel commissioned a birthday song from one of Egypt's most popular singers. The brainchild of Egyptian billionaire Naguib Sawiris of Orascom Telecom, OTV is bringing a new brand of television to Egypt's viewers.
He wanted to create something different. He wanted to create something that is progressive, at the same time something that is light and witty, and at the same time not neglecting our current issues, our daily current issues, but tackling them in a very objective manner with a bit of sarcasm.
Launched on January 31st, 2007, the channel broadcasts 24 hours a day in Arabic. Although focused on Egyptian viewers, it's widely available free-to-air across the Middle East. And it's not just what the channel is saying, it's how it's saying it. OTV is the only Arabic channel to broadcast a daily news bulletin in colloquial Arabic. Unlike rivals Dream, Al-Mihwar or Al-Hayat, it's decided against classical Arabic and favors a more casual, informal approach.
Many people criticize that the presenters are too natural and they're, too light. But actually all of these points we want, this is what we wanted.
Egypt, along with the rest of the Middle East, is currently witnessing a revolution, and it's televised.
We are into a stage in which you have an explosion of information.
Newspaper stands like this one in downtown Cairo sell more than 50 daily titles, and only a handful of them are state-run. With the advent of pan-Arab satellite television like Orbit and NBC, Egyptians now have hundreds of publications and channels to choose from. As a result, the government's media monopoly, housed in this building overlooking the Nile, is fading.
The big boom, of course, was on the satellite television. That's boomed with our local Egyptian television.
There's been a dramatic change, and that dramatic change has to do with satellite television.
Abdullah Schleifer, founder of the journal Arab Media and Society, says satellite television introduced audiences to a new kind of media.
Satellite is becoming more and more pervasive, and just look at the city skyline. Even in the poorest districts, you'll see satellite dishes everywhere. And in the very poor districts, they'll be pirated, or there'll be a cafe. So, satellite television is tremendously pervasive.
Whether it's ART, Rotana, or NBC, Egyptians have an insatiable appetite for what's on TV. Today, there are more than 400 Arabic satellite channels broadcasting in Egypt and throughout the region. And people of all income levels can access them at home or in cafes like this one right here. And with 99% of Egyptians owning a TV set, satellite channels are now the undisputed main source of news and entertainment. And they're having a huge influence over the way people here in Egypt see the world, themselves, and their society.
It does not matter if you are poor or rich. People, when they get married, the first thing on the list is not to buy the bed, it's to buy the television. That's #1 item.
Back at OTV, technical director Albert Shafiq gave us a look behind the scenes. The channel's 450 staff is mostly young and encouraged to take a fresh approach.
When you give a chance to a person who never appeared on TV, you are going to get what you want, which is being natural, being different, talking in a different manner. And if OTV succeeded in anything, it did probably succeed in that, in creating a new media, a new style of media.
Economic reform in recent years has given the private sector a confidence boost, spurring innovation and making a real impact on the economy.
The private sector has been given a lot of leeway in the way they do business. Business environment in Egypt has improved tremendously in the last 3 or 4 years, and I think that has spurred investment and trade through the private sector.
With more than 75 million inhabitants, Egypt is the most populous nation in the Middle East, and consumer demands are increasingly sophisticated.
I think it's a virtuous circle. The liberalization of the economy has introduced more competition in the market. And domestic consumption has increased and has contributed a lot to the growth. But I think you have to look at the proxies, the increase in internet usage, but increase in mobile usage, the increase in satellite dishes on homes, the increase in electricity usage, energy usage. So I think that all that gives you the proxy that there is an enlarged middle class and that their incomes are increasing.
With growth rates exceeding 7% in 2007, Egypt's economy is growing at its fastest pace in more than a decade. And despite an economic slowdown elsewhere, Merrill Lynch expects Egypt's GDP to reach 7.4% in 2008. That's on the back of strong investment-driven domestic demand. That domestic demand means people are spending more at old markets like this one right here. Egypt's growing middle classes now have the purchasing power to drive the economy. But companies are choosing to target this consumer class on primetime TV rather than at traditional markets.
So the government is building infrastructure. The private sector discovered that that's something that money-making or self-promoting or whatever. So there is investment here as well. And in the same time, technology is getting cheaper and cheaper.
The trend began with Dream TV, the first private-owned Egyptian satellite channel. Al Mihwar followed a few years later. And now, the likes of OTV, Al Hayat, and Modern TV are all competing for audiences and advertisers. OTV is confident that it offers Egyptian viewers distinctly different programs.
We wanted to tackle issues that are serious, but with a different manner, with a low tone, with wittiness, some wittiness, and at the same time promote things that are positive in our society. Why continuously show the negative side?
Whatever the view of the country, for now at least, the outlook for its media industry seems promising.
Yeah, well, assuming there's no catastrophe, political catastrophe on the horizon, then I will assume that business circles will become increasingly influential. Part of that will include increasing pressure on the government to move from opening up satellite television to opening up terrestrial television.
I think we'll see many new entrants, but I think eventually some of those stations will close down because of less viewership and probably less advertising revenue and so on. It's like any business; it expands, and the fittest remain.
It's too soon to tell if OTV will come out on top, but the channel is banking on Egyptians tuning in. Karina Kamel, Cairo.